Sorry for anyone who showed up about 5 minutes ago and I had some difficulties on my end. Basically, I can read. I just can't remember what I read. And there, let me see if I can get our guest in here. Add to stream. Okay, here we go. And there, we have Nathan from Snakes on the Plains. How you doing, Nathan?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Doing well, man. Sorry I screwed up.
No, you're good, bro. You're good.
Um,
Ain't no thing.
yes, hello again, Hissy Fitz. Thank you.
Yeah, wasn't no big deal. She,
Well, we went over like details earlier, and then it's just like in one ear and just out the other.
I get it. I get it. That happens. That's my specialty.
Well, and I tell you, it doesn't really help. Yeah, it's full spring. It's full on spring here.
Yeah, I think it's flipped. I spent all afternoon out doing some yard work, so trying to get everything ready for that.
I spent all afternoon like depositing rubber snakes along public thoroughfares.
That's cruel. I've never done that.
You know, you've never done that.
No, yeah, I've done it.
I was gonna say, aren't you all self-righteous and smug over there?
I've laid out rocks in the shape of snakes and all kinds of other good stuff. So yeah.
Hey, you reptile, how you doing? I still want to take like one of those old worn ropes and get some of that orange safety tape and just alternate it up and just like throw 30 of those all over West Texas.
Yeah, first time I was in West Texas, somebody glued a rubber alterna on the ground in one of the cuts, and I was driving through, and I about had a crash trying to pull over. So,
oh gosh,
somebody probably got a good laugh up the road.
Yeah, no, that would do it.
Hey, Hissy, how are you? You reptile?
Yeah, I dropped the word in Iron Dog's chat that we were going live, and because I kind of thought that they were coming to an end over there, and then they were like, "Well, when's Joe going live?" And I'm like, "I didn't know Joe was going live tonight." I'm like up to here with like YouTube's notification system.
Yeah, they've been real shoddy lately with me too. I'm not getting like yours. I haven't been getting hardly any of yours. I'll be scrolling through days later and see them. And it used to not be that way.
Well, and it seems like if you're in the 50,000 and up club, they like value you or something.
Yeah, I could see that. That would probably be true.
Well, tell me about without giving away the location. Tell me about your trip to the den site.
Yeah, that was cool. You know, I'm still only a few years into this, and I've not went to a lot of sites like that. I mean, I knew the area. I knew there's a ton of rattlesnakes there, Masaguas and Atrox, and I had an idea by looking at the maps as to where I would need to go. And I went there last year, but it was later. It was like late April probably.
Right.
And I found the den, and there was only like one or two snakes out there, which that was still neat, you know. And that's kind of what I was expecting. And the first two snakes I found were the exact same place I found the other ones. And I was messing with that one. I was going to try to take a picture of it, and I noticed up the hill a little bit up on the cliff there was a snake that I could see. So usually I'm very careful. I didn't have gaiters on or anything. I should have, but it was about a mile hike out there, so I didn't wear them because it's just hot. And I seen that snake, and I made sure it was clear to go up there. I get up there, and I stick the GoPro up there, and I see the other ones, and then I look like 6 inches from my arm. There's probably a 4-footer curled up. And then I start just paying attention, and they were everywhere. I mean, I counted 12 on that video, but the short that I made before that, I went back up and there was different ones that I didn't see the first time. There was probably 15 or 20 of them. There's quite a few, but yeah, it was pretty neat. It was perfect condition. It was pretty windy, but other than that, everything was perfect. It was like 80 degrees, sunny. The first real warm day we had, so they were out really soaking it up.
Yeah, I tell you, I kind of kicked myself for having I placed my Amazon order the night before last.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I thought like, this stuff will take 2 days to get here. And like delivery tomorrow would have been perfect because the weather's going to be cruddy, or at least it's looking like it.
Yeah.
And I was just like at home all day with like all this energy.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I feel you.
I mean, it got so bad that like my wife left the house, went to go visit her mom or something. And I was like, didn't you visit your mom like yesterday? She's like, yeah, I'm going back today. And it's just like,
yeah, I really wanted to take off today and go out and hit that site again, but I had to work, and I'm off tomorrow. But yeah, it's supposed to be kind of crappy. So hopefully maybe this weekend. I think Sunday's supposed to be good. If we get some good rain come through here, we need some good rain so we can start flipping. Everything's so dry out here in Western Oklahoma. It's pretty bad.
Well, and I've been flipping the rocks by my house. I've got a lot. I've got like this entire hillside down the hill from my house, and like I'm starting to see amphibians, starting to see spiders, caterpillars, crickets, ants.
Yeah.
Starting to see everything, but nothing reptilian. I thought I saw a lizard earlier, and I was making a dog video. Just because I'm having a lot of fun with my dog channel. It's just what you do. Hey, KY, glad to see you in here. Hey, Michaela, thank you for stopping by. Hey, Morbid. Hey, Brad. Hey, Solo. Yeah, we're getting an Iron Dog rush is what we're getting. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love Iron Dog. He's good people. Hey, thank you for that, KY. I appreciate that. Hey, Connor, how are you doing? But man, I was like dying to like go hit down south of Tulsa, and in like the pygmy spot that we have down there, and just didn't happen.
Yeah, I felt it today too. I was sitting in my office and I was itching all day, and but yeah, I've got a small backyard. I got like 5 or 6 boards back there, and I went back today just for the heck of it and flipped, and there was a dead rough earth underneath there. It probably had went underneath there on one of the warm days a month ago and then got cold. But there's really not much around here yet as far as anything under the rocks, I don't think. But I bet that'll change within the next week. We're supposed to get some good rain next week, and y'all got a lot more rain east than we have here. I think we've got a 1/4 inch like in the last month or maybe.
Well, and what was that? Everything's just been a little crazy in my neck of the woods. It seems like I remember Pimby showing us a graph. I'm thinking that was us in our group chat, and like the entire like Big Bend area is like not on fire, but it kind of is.
Yeah, that whole, I looked at it the other day, and it looked like pretty much all the Southwest from New Mexico through Western Oklahoma, most of Oklahoma, except for the patch like right around El Paso was not as bad, but most of it's in a pretty good drought. It seems like for the whole area that we had pretty good rains through about early summer, and then it just turned spigot off, and we haven't really had much since. We had a pretty dry winter. We had snow, but snow doesn't amount to that much when it melts.
Yeah, it's some moisture. It's better than nothing. But I'm kind of, and honestly, I'm not. I mean, I'm kind of in a hurry to go out and flip, but I'm also like, you know how it goes. You're going to get to about 15, 20 rocks, and then you're going to start getting tuckered, and and I can't get it through my head that I'm not 20 anymore. I think it's like a psychiatric delusion.
I feel you there. My body tells me otherwise. I still think I'm 18. I realize I'm not, but Yeah.
You know what's funny is like I'm pulling up like people's birthdays and stuff, or like we had a lot of birthdays of mutual friends this month, and I'm
yeah.
like, wow, you were born like when I was graduating high school. You know, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's that
Yeah.
whole and you know the conundrum. People don't go herping. It's
Yeah.
wife's always hung up about me going alone, and I tell her, it's like the most dangerous thing you're going to encounter down there is other people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I've had some sketchy encounters doing perfectly legal things. You never know who you're going to run across. People, and a lot of it's misinterpretation when you're cruising at 1 a.m. and you stop, 100 yards down the road from their house and you're out messing around. Obviously, they're going to think you're up to something,
I was going
or
to say, don't
flipping.
ever stop in front of a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I try not to. I, Side story, the first year I was doing this right in front of a house, it was going across the bridge. Right before that bridge, there was a tricolored snake of some sort right there. And that's really rare for where I live. And I didn't stop. There was a dog running out. I shot up and come back and it was gone. But I still to this day wonder what that was. So it was probably a milk snake, and that would have been a county record.
Well, I tell you, Mike, the weather guy that we know, mutual
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drop his name just because I don't know.
Yeah.
But he relayed a story to me one time where he's cruising, saw a pygmy, got out to photograph it, and some guy who was like who lived right by where he stopped in front of came out and like had a machete with him, goes
Yeah.
charging at the car when he sees it's a snake, and it's
Yeah.
just like, it's just kind of like one of those things where, and Mike's like, I just had to sit by and watch the guy kill it, and I'm like, God, that's horrible, Mike, and I pray that doesn't happen to you again. And I didn't get an address from him,
Yeah.
where this guy lives, and if something
Yeah.
happens to him, it wasn't me, and I wasn't involved. And I know my rights, and if detained, never mind.
I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. The snake that's on right there, that picture there, I took that picture with Andrew and Pemberton, and
Okay,
Andrew was getting it into position for me, and it was a
right.
perfect pose. To this day, I've never had one pose like that. And I'm down there taking my pictures, and this lady, we're about 200 yards down the road from a house down in, I think it was Harmon County, Southwest Oklahoma, and she comes out and she starts giving us the what for. She thought we were breaking into something, and Pemberton kind of jumps and plays interference so that we can finish up, because it was a good pose. We got some good pictures out of it. You
Yeah,
never know, you know.
man, you win some, you lose some, and I think if you won all the time, it would probably be pretty useless at the end of the
Yeah.
day. I kind of relate it to fishing, and like, because like a lot of people went fishing, not a lot of people went harping, and you tell them, look, guys, do you ever go out, sit out there for 4 hours, you never catch anything, or you sit out there for 2 hours, don't catch anything, and then you get a bite, and then it's just bam, the whole day
Yeah.
becomes worth it. Kind
It's
of the
almost
same
sweeter that way.
scenario,
Yeah.
but
I agree. That's always good. Yeah. That always makes it better. I mean, it's always good to have success the whole night, but it seems like some of the nights that it's the slowest is when I have the best, one time find. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like that's the way it works.
right. And me, I think I sent you that I sent you did I send I think I sent you a picture of the Amazon order that came in.
Yeah.
I dropped I finally got like a decent flash for my Sony, and I found this interesting thing. It's a ground level tripod made by Video, or VADIO, and what it is it's a little tripod, but it sits flat, keeps your camera it keeps it about an
Yeah.
inch, maybe an inch off the ground. And I saw it in one of Daniel Wakefield's video. So let's see. Hang on, I gotta hide a user. Sorry, we had a bot. Thank you, Autumn. Well, I think it's a bot. It's either that or it's just an inappropriate message. But
There is no
God, man,
tell.
lives, they would be so easy if it weren't for bots.
Yeah.
Well,
That's why I wanted you to host it, because I'd be over here trying to figure out what was going on.
man, I tell you, it's what it is you start the broadcast from StreamYard. You have to sign up for StreamYard with your email, and then you just copy and click the link, and and I message it to you. You just click on, and then I just hit add and add you. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Now, Benji, you didn't lose your wrench. I just recently started doing lives over here. And I don't think you ever did have a wrench over here. You had one on the Angry Aatrox. And I just started doing lives over here because the platform's monetized. I mean, I'm going to, hey, it paid for the camera gear I bought today. Look at it like that.
Hey, dude, you can't beat that. I don't, if I ever monetize my channel, it'd be great, but I don't care. But if I ever do, that would be kind of the hope, just to offset some of the travel cost and camera stuff. If I could do that, that would be nice. But if I don't care. I just do it because it's fun. I enjoy it.
That's kind of about where I'm at, because for a while I was at the point of like, I'm putting so much work into this, it's like a job.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of getting to where it wasn't a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If it becomes a job, it's no fun. And I did that like 2 years ago with my photography. I got so hung up on taking the pictures that by the end of the year, I really wasn't having fun. And I kind of just took a step back, and this the whole reason I started it, just finding the snakes and just taking pictures of the highlights instead of everyone. And I, to a degree with the YouTube stuff too. I think this year I'm probably going to take a step back and do, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos maybe, but a lot of shorts. And, I'm going to make at least one trip to Arizona. That'll obviously be a big one. And I'd like to go to South Texas. But I don't know how that's going to work out with gas prices. I may just get to do one trip this year far away, because my truck gets 13 miles a gallon, 14. So
mine gets 8.
That's crazy, man. I swear.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but man, we can probably make it happen. My thing is, I've got Arizona in my sights. I've got that thing we've been talking about in my sights. And basically, one thing that I'm definitely getting ready to, try to nail down is getting out and doing more road cruising in the western part of the state. Maybe hit Amarillo, definitely Guyman. I mean, what I'm going out there for.
Yeah. I agree. And I've done a little bit of like the Eastern Texas Panhandle, just shot into there a little bit, Memphis area, north through that area. But I've never been into the heart of the Panhandle and actually herped. And I would like to go out there too. Me and Pemberton's got some ideas that's going to take a lot of luck and probably about 10 miles of hiking this summer. We might die out there somewhere in the middle of the Texas Panhandle in the heat. But if it turns out, it will be pretty epic. So we'll see.
Well, I tell you, it's every year it seems like you plan more and you do less.
Yes, yeah, that's very true.
And
it's prioritized.
And it's kind of this adulthood thing we all get sucked into. And that's why, like, I look at people like Jubal and I'm like, yeah, you're going to get married one day. You're going to have kids. And then you're going to be
Jubal,
stuck.
It must be nice. When I was his age, I'd have had a lot of, nothing to tie you down, but yeah, wife and 2 kids and work, and it's a little hard. Grim Exotics, thank you. I appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, Grim. Yeah. We're getting like attacked by bots tonight. You don't see like that. The admin chat probably, but like, it's just, I don't know. And okay. And we got 12 people watching and want 4 likes. Come on, people, hit the like button. Come on. Do it for Snakes on the Plains.
Thank you.
We definitely support each other's channels, each other's endeavors, and that's why I started my dog channels. One, I wanted like a ton of video of my dog, and
Yeah.
when once again, I'm not even promoting it. I don't even want people dropping a link.
Well,
Literally.
hey, I'll admit it. I have a blind Jack Russell, and my wife and my daughter have me make him. He's got a TikTok channel, and I spend more time doing his stuff like over the winter than I do anything else. But it's just something to break the monotony. And it's funny. He's
Well,
blind, and it's always it's always fun with him.
and it's a way to channel that. It's like Rob is always bringing up the creative aspect.
Yeah.
And once again, that's why I do the drone stuff and the dog stuff. It doesn't have to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Exactly.
honestly, and like my dog channel, like I've got like maybe 10 full length videos. I'm already like 200 subs over there.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, I'll put a lot less work into that channel. It'll probably go bigger than everything.
Yeah. That seems to be the way it goes sometimes. I don't know. I don't get it. Look, it's like this last video I did. I got the most views I've had in a long time, and I put 30 minutes worth of editing into it. I just threw it together. It was no big deal. You just never know. So,
Well, some of that was your good video, but some of that was like your snake or your title, huge rattlesnake den. There's that one video that was shot in Wyoming. I think,
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, where the guy's like got a GoPro taped to a hockey stick or something, and he shoots it into this Viridis den. But you see, because of your title, you're coming up as suggested to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I kind of thought about that. I tried to play that a little bit, and you helped a lot. Heck, you were out there pushing it, and that got me a ton. I got it off the ground and got it going. I really appreciate that.
well, others did it for me, so I plan to do it for others. But it's just like that's one thing that's and honestly, not that I'm dropping a lot of trade secrets, but like my video that went viral that took off. I won't say went viral. It went over 1 million views on this channel. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yep.
One that was shot in Texas, and it wasn't really a happy video. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
I did alter the thumbnail in that to be similar to this other video that had like 400,000 views. And it's like almost identical thumbnail, but it's just the same stuff, same scene. And for some reason, YouTube liked it. And that thing sat on this channel at 200 views for over 2 years. And then it shot through the roof. So that will show you what the right kind of thumbnail or title can and will do. And that's why I called this the night before St. Patrick's Day. Of course, I didn't think we would get, attacked by, Irish bots, but that's what's appearing to happen.
It happens. I'm Irish. Probably already drunk. What can you say? What happens?
I'm part Irish, part Scottish, so I'm kind of half and half. But yeah, I'm waiting for the Lucky Charms leprechaun to like bust out of the closet over there and like start throwing stuff at me. But it's all good. I used to love St. Patrick's Day before this thing called sobriety.
Yeah.
I'm probably pushing about 7 years now. I've got it written down somewhere. And before sobriety, I lived for St. Patrick's Day. It was the holiday. Lou B shows up and asks, "Is this a drinking party?"
What's up, Lou? It's always a party when you're here.
Yeah, we're sending him a virtual beer. How you doing, Lou? Yeah, but no, it's back to that video. Man, just sometimes something like that happens. Yeah. And I've been one thing that that really burned me up. If you go to my Instagram page, there's like this picture taken by this. It wasn't taken by me because me and a game warden are in it, and we're both like working this large cottonmouth down south of Tulsa, and that day I think we saw like 37 cottonmouths all like in this little pond area, and like my battery had died by the time we'd found like over half of them. And it's just one of those, dadgum, I wish I'd, had something going for that.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, I've been there before too. And you find something, you don't have your stuff, and at work driving around, you find something. It's just, yeah, I've done that before.
You've always, the one thing I've learned is buy extra batteries and keep them charged at all times.
Yes,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's very important. Definitely, I did
I,
that.
I,
My last Arizona trip, I had many different sets of batteries, and for that reason, because I've done that before. Get out in the field, and the thing that always dies is my flash. It just all the time, and when that's gone, your picture quality just is shot. You're not going to have any luck with anything. I've learned that the hard way. I've got some rechargeable batteries and some ways to charge it in the truck, solar panels, and everything else, so that doesn't happen in the future. Learned that the hard way a few times.
well, and that's why I'm kind of like starting to invest in the light panel thing
Yeah,
because I've used those before, generally, generally for photography, but some for video. And sometimes you get that side effect without,
yeah,
actually like, pulling the flash off the camera and doing this, angling this. And I
yeah,
can't, I'm not really good with like holding a camera in one hand, something in the other. It's like
yeah,
that's why I'm kind of
yeah.
like,
That's hard. I'll be honest. I struggle. I mean, I can do it. Like the first trip I did to Arizona last year, I was by myself, and I had a hard time safely photographing the venomous snakes by myself because, getting up close to them, holding the light out, and doing all that at once, it's hard. I usually have my brother or Pemberton or somebody come along, and I'll be like, hey, I need you to hold this light right here because this is the angle I want, and they hold it. Man, that makes it so much easier having somebody there with you. And plus, they can kind of watch the snake because I've done that. You get so fixated on a snake, watch them through the viewfinder and everything else, and you don't realize that you've got a little closer than you think. And Andrew did that one time. He was like, dude, you're like 6 inches away. And I stopped and looked, and I was way, way, way too close to the snake. But I was trying to get that close up, closer, closer, closer. And it's always good to have somebody there to watch you and help you hold equipment and do things like that. That definitely helps a lot for
well,
photography and on video too, photography.
and that's kind of why I kind of rely on like the autofocus features probably more than a lot of people
Yeah.
because like 9 out of 10 I'm on my own, and it's like
Yeah.
everything less that you have to worry about is like something in your favor if
Yeah.
something does go bad. and
Yeah.
and that once again, that's why like I'm looking. I got like a cheap there's like a $10 2x4 light panel at
Yeah.
Best Buy, and it worked really well until I broke it. I man dropped it, stepped on it, so I just went ahead and ordered a decent like 4x8 from Adorama. I think that's how you pronounce it, and
Yeah.
it comes with its own kit, like a little mini tripod stand.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, I mean, not you're not always going to be able to set that up, but it's the kind of thing that you can throw in the truck as is, and then
Yeah.
just pull it out, and
Yeah.
then if Autumn fails to deploy the light source in time, we're just going to leave her on the side of the road,
Hey, it's the
and
price you pay.
we may take away the blue hammer if she keeps mouthing off, but she's going in chat. I'm just joking. I would never do that.
Yeah, I've never
But
experimented with
that's
the
one
light panels
thing
much.
is like you go like my main cruise spot down here on this side of the state. Every time I go down there, you see, 3 or 4 feral hogs. You
Hmm.
see stuff like that, and those can be nasty when encountered. I mean, I'm more
Yeah.
worried about those than most other things. I don't worry about like the rogue mountain lion that makes its way through the
Yeah.
state from time to time.
Yeah.
And it's just so when you bring it together and do the dynamics of trying to get video and stuff, it's just kind of like you're kind of sitting there without a team or without at least one extra person. You're really at a disadvantage. I'll say that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree, 100%. It's a lot more dangerous by yourself, and if something happens that you do take a bite from a hot out there, and you're by yourself too, that's just, it's always good to have somebody with you. And it's like going to that rattlesnake den of the day. I put myself in a bad spot. I shouldn't have rushed up there so fast and got in the middle of all that. I should have been more careful because I didn't even have some cell phone reception where I was at, and I'm out in the middle I'm a mile away from my truck and about 30 miles away from the nearest hospital. But, hindsight's 2020, but having somebody there with an extra set of eyes is definitely nice.
Well, most of your rural hospitals out where you're at are going to life flight you to OKC.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd have probably been just as quick to drive myself to Oklahoma City as back to like Lawton. So.
Well, and I think I asked this in one of the hiking groups, if there's like an emergency settings or something that you can put your cell phone on to where like you can at least get through to 911.
I think that if you don't have service, if you hit 911, I think it will search for other towers. I think if you have Verizon and you don't have service, and don't quote me on this, I think if you hit 911, it will find it. You don't have Verizon service, I think it'll hit AT&T or whatever else and push it through. Okay. That's what I've been told, but I don't, like I said, don't quote me on that, but that's what I've been told.
It seems like one of my kids that I go hurt. Well, heck, he's in his 20s now. He's not a kid, but it seems like he went out to the Wichitas when he was like 16 or 17, and I want to say his mom like actually called like the game ranger down there and said, "Hey, he's going hiking. He thinks he's Steve Irwin. What do I do?" And she said that the game warden actually walked him through that. What to do as far as he could do something to his phone. Yeah. Because that's the question I get asked all the time is, what can you do for snake bite if you're in an area with no reception? Because a lot of our places in Oklahoma, all the really cool areas to hike, to play, to find film animals, whatever, are areas with really bad reception. And it's like, you've got to get to an area with reception. That's the only thing you can do. Don't tourniquet. Don't, do this. That Marine that lost, I want to say he lost his leg in the Wichita.
Yeah, he lost it. Yeah, he lost it, I think, from the knee down.
Yeah.
I talked to the game ranger out there, and he said that, of course, I don't know, but he said that, there was a big Atrox, and he said that his, the fang marks on the back of his calf where it hit him he said it was the same as the width of his fingers put up.
Good grief.
Very, very wide and very big, and dumped a lot of venom. And they took him to Lawton, and supposedly they gave him all the anti-venom they had there, and they had to take him up to the city. And by then, I guess so much time had went by that he lost. I think he lost it from the knee down.
Well, and I don't want to misquote anybody, but it seems like at one point I read that Pimby will jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but that they actually still did the tourniquet, and that the tourniquet was still in the training manual for venomous snake bites. And today we now know that shouldn't be, if it still is.
Yeah. There's a whole lot changed in that with the understanding more about how the human body works, about tourniquet, and they used to say cut it and try to get that out of there, and that just creates more infection and all that. So I always tell people, just, it's hard, just, of course, I've never been, thankfully, hope I never do, been bit, but just remain calm and make your way. When you get service, call somebody, make your way to the hospital, and remaining calm is about the best you can do.
Well, and that's my thought is you never know till the symptoms set in. If you have received an envenomation, it could be a dry bite. You don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I preach, stay calm and get to a place where there's reception. And if you can't, evaluate evaluate your safety. I mean, I hate to sound like the Bureau of Consular Affairs, that's like, evaluate whether or not you need to go into the Ukraine at this point in time, seeing as though there is an active war there. But like, literally, people will sit there and like beg you for first aid tips. And I'm like, there aren't any.
Yeah.
I mean, other than keep it elevated, don't panic, and get to where you can contact someone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
really about it. There's not much to it. This kind of goes to just snakes in general. It kills me about all the false information that's out there. Uh, I always tell people when I'm talking to people about, well, I tell them about 95% of what you know about snakes is not true, and they always laugh at me. But I say, that's the truth. It's full of a bunch of false crap, is what it is.
well, and and I end up over here on the eastern side of the states. I end up and talking to people about cottonmouths all the time, or
Yeah,
or copperheads, and it's just like the mating ball rolled down the hill. It chased me. You've heard the stories, and I think I was talking to Grim the other day, Grim Exotics, and I think me and him were on Instagram, and we were like, dude, wouldn't it be so cool if they actually did chase us, and you
yeah,
didn't have to like chase them?
yeah. They'd come find us. It would make it a lot easier to go standing near a creek. Yeah, yeah. I had an
Right.
argument with a lady yesterday about that. She got plumb mad at me when she told me that when I told her she was misinterpreting their behavior when she said that a cottonmouth chased her out of the lake in western Oklahoma. And I said, well, first off, there's where she was at. There's no cottonmouths out there, so it wasn't a cottonmouth. But she swore it was and said that it chased her out of the lake and up to her truck and everything else. And yeah.
Well, I get stuff like that because like I'm the local snake guy in this part of the world, Sand Springs, Manford area, one of them. And and people just I think there's people that just live to argue about this stuff, and I'm just like, here's my 2 cents, take it or leave it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
kind of where I've got with it too. It's, I agree 100%. Yeah.
I just want to get to their kids. I mean, that kind of sounds a little weird, but it's just I want to influence their
Yeah.
kids and say, hey, look, take a cottonmouth, dump it out in a parking lot somewhere, and say, hey, is it chasing me? No, it's heading for those bushes. That's what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But it's but anyway, there seems like there's something else I was going to ask you. Okay, not without giving out any trade secrets. So get mentally prepared for this question. We're going to put snakes
Gotcha.
on the plains. It's going to be snakes on the spot, is what it's going to be. Okay, but no,
I'm ready to bring it.
dealing with lighting, you because you do your photography so well,
Thank you.
and with me, it's kind of like I feel like I can do the video stuff, um, pretty good, and I've got ideas of how to make it better. And you've seen some of my tricks.
Yeah.
Um, but like when you like if you don't have a flat like or when you do someone else have working the lighting for you, like an external flashlight, or maybe they're holding the flash, like what do you like, just move to a lower aperture? What do you do? Can you kind of like just give me a basic rundown? Or
Yeah. It's pretty complicated, and it seems complicated, and it is until you get an understanding of it. And the website you said, Adorama, that you said of the day, or well, earlier, not the other day, you
yeah,
said a few minutes ago, they have a YouTube channel, and it is all set up over understanding. There's like understanding exposure, understanding aperture, understanding lighting. And I'll be honest, I sat there and watched that because manual mode scared me to death. The first year, 2 years that I was taking pictures, I ain't gonna lie, it was automatic mode, full blown, and it did okay with the camera I had. But I was wanting that. I was wanting something a little better. So I, over the off season, I bought another camera and I divvied into this, and I started watching these YouTube videos, and I got a better understanding of how all the manual mode works together. And once you understand it, it's called the exposure triangle. That's what if anybody's wondering, the exposure triangle. And I'm by no means an expert, so don't quote me on none of this. But the exposure triangle, and I believe it's your aperture, your shutter speed, and something else. And like I said, it's been a while for me, but those things work hand in hand, and it's different for every every uh, every environment is different. Like if I'm taking a picture with the sunset in the background, I will crank the aperture down real low, so it's letting less light in, and a fast shutter speed. And then it's going to be completely dark when I'm looking through there, but I'll introduce light into it, a heavy lighting that is diffused. That way, it lights up my subject that I'm taking a picture of, but yet the background is lighter. That way the sun doesn't blow the picture out,
Right.
to where at night, and that the smaller aperture will give you a greater depth of field to where you can see more. You open that aperture up and you're going to get, that there was the picture yesterday that Pemberton shared of us of that Atrox that was squatted down, and you could see just the face and everything else was blurred out. That was aperture being wide open. So you're letting more light in. But when you do that, you're going to have a shallower depth of field. So you may have this much in focus versus if you got that little one, you're going to have huge. And is Smet talking? Is he talking smack over there?
No, he's just giving you the Todd method.
Hey, well,
except I would do it in
don't
Denver
know that either.
Snapseed because I'm too cheap for Photoshop.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's real complicated. But the exposure triangle, if anybody is wondering about that, go to Adorama on their YouTube and look up the exposure triangle. And once you understand that, you can build off everything else. I was super intimidated by manual settings forever because I just didn't understand what each of them did. But they all work hand in hand. And once you learn off something, like I base everything pretty much off of my aperture for the depth of field that I want for that picture. Once I figure out what the depth of field I want for that picture is, then I will base everything else off of it to make it come together and kind of give you what you want. And once you do it long enough, once you do it long enough, you will be able to kind of have a little bit of a idea of what you're expecting. If you're wanting that sunset in the background, you're going to know what aperture setting you're going to want. Well, you're going to know you've done it before, kind of the ballpark of where you need to be. And it may take 3 or 4 pictures. I hardly ever get it on the first time. I'll take 4 or 5 pictures till I get it just right with my exposure, my lighting, and all that. And whenever I get that setting just right, then I'll set in and start taking. Sometimes I'll take 40, 50 pictures of the snake to make sure I got everything just right. And that's the thing. And most of the time when I take a picture, I spend about 15 minutes with that snake, taking a picture with it to get one good picture. Not all the time, but that's usually what it takes, because to just sit down and get it the first time, I'm not that good. I mean, there's people that probably could, but the equipment I don't have expensive equipment either. That's another thing. I got pretty cheap stuff. I don't have a lot of money, so I work with that and put everything else in post-production and kind of do the best I can. So.
Well, and that's kind of one thing I've struggled with is I like to get close to the animal, or I like to get the machine close to the animal. And so I'm sitting there, do I buy something that's like indestructible? Or, do I get like a cheap, like I've got a mirrorless camera that
that's what I just bought.
Wasn't top of the line, but it was fairly expensive. And I'm sitting there thinking, how am I going to get the venom cleaned out of this thing or something?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, well, just buy a cheap lens, a cheap but good lens, go Sigma or Tamron or something, instead of going with an actual like Sony glass or whatever, and stuff like that. And I've kind of kicked that around. And I want to say I was talking to Tyler, and he was saying Tyler's good. Tyler Albertson, I want to say he's OKLA Wild on Instagram.
Wild, yeah.
Check out his photography, because he's a whole lot better than that Joseph guy that runs around here. I can't. Joseph's good, but Tyler's better in my opinion. But I was going to show you, because I actually still have this from 1986.
That's sweet.
A Pentax K1000. You set the aperture, the ISO, and then you manual focus. I mean, everything. This is what I learned on. But then, lucky me, I didn't do it for 10 years and just, forgot it all. Now here I'm back again.
I'll be honest, just over the 3 or 4 months in the winter, 3 months, I forget a lot of it, and I have to go back and think about it. And by the way, Grim, it's called the exposure triangle. You'd ask that, the exposure triangle, if you look that up. But the more ISO, the higher your ISO settings. What that is, ISO is your sensitivity to light, and that's the other part of the exposure triangle that I wasn't thinking about. I always crank my ISO way down, because I put it at 100. The lower it is, the less amount of noise you're going to have, which is kind of graininess in the background. You'll have less noise. You'll keep it crisp. So, but when you do that, you have to crank up other things. You have to adjust your shutter speed and different things like that to compensate for that, because that's going to make everything really dark when you have that low exposure, no low ISO, unless it's just super bright outside. So doing especially nighttime photography, if you put that ISO at 100, you're going to have to bump your exposures up a little slower or down a little bit slower. And in your aperture, you might have to open that up to a little bit more light in there. But those three things work hand in hand. You start with one, and it was Hutchinson's one told he's good too, and he was saying, base everything off your aperture, and he's correct. Once you figure out that depth of field you want, get that there and base everything else off around it, and it will all come together, and it works. But that's good, man. Those old cameras like that, and back in the day with film, you didn't have the you didn't have the luxury, I guess, of taking 100 pictures and going back and finding one good one. You had to make them count when you had 24 exposures in one roll, and you didn't know what it was until you got it back from the getting it processed.
And I remember prices of 16 to 20 cents a photo to process them. You had to drive up to the Photo Mart booth. Yep. Today's kids will never understand that struggle. Yeah. But it's like literally you couldn't just take a picture and delete it and go back and retake it.
No,
it
was much different.
You had to make it count.
I had an uncle one time that he had made his own little room to where he could, process his own film and stuff for that reason. It was super, super expensive.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine. I wouldn't have the patience for that. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be a photographer if it was 20 years ago. I would be doing something else. So.
I started out in photography wanting to do video eventually when I was younger, and now it just came back to where video just kind of fell in my lap, and I had a reason to do it, and then it's taken on this life of its own, and I kind of realize that I've worked my way back into a childhood dream that not a lot of people really get to do that. But now I'm sitting there. I've got a friend of mine who just turned into a realtor, and she's wanting me to do real estate photography for her. Well, I've got a drone, so I need to get my drone license, and stuff like that. And so I'm sitting there thinking, how, what else can I do with this? Besides just the snake stuff that I love, I'm sitting there going, all the time on neighborhood pages, you see, can someone do a headshot for me for, my LinkedIn profile, or I need it for, my website or something. And you can do stuff like that for $10 or $20 and just make some contacts and get known as that person in your area. If you're not in a highly populated area, if you're in Oklahoma City, market's already saturated there, but and you can at least, pick up some connections, pick up some, gas money or something.
Yeah, it would help.
I like networking outside the reptile world because it seems like I get more snake spots that way.
Yeah, you really do. The more connections you make, the better you're absolutely right. I'm good at buttering people up. I get permission to a lot of land just by going. I can talk to people, relate, and I can talk people into anything. So that helps.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing that everyone kind of was like, man, dude, you're posting the Snakes on the Plains video everywhere. And I was like, well, one, it was an amazing video. Two, it's people like Smet Logic helped me break through barriers. People like Iron Dog Reptiles, Desert Wolf Armory, they helped me break through barriers. So who am I if I don't do it for someone else?
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And if I ever get up that high, I would return the favor to everybody else. But my 600 subscribers don't go very far.
Well, I think it was me and Pemberton were talking behind your back the other day about the key is to get you up to 10,000 subscribers and then have you shout out us.
Yeah, dude, Pemberton's going to blow up. I got a feeling by the end of the summer, he's getting calls from people. He's doing great stuff. His editing skill is amazing. And he's got a knack for that. He's very technologically sound. That's all he works on computers. So technology is natural to him. He's got a good eye for it. The Arizona video where we went out to Arizona together, he flew all that drone stuff. He speed ramped it, everything, and just sent it to me. And I was like, I'd have probably to pay somebody $1,000 to go with me and do that, and
Right.
He's so good at what he does. Pemberton Boys, if nobody knows who we're talking about, Pemberton, if you haven't looked up his channel,
I'm going to drop a link to it while we're going. So yeah,
he does amazing work. He does a lot of stuff with Oklahoma. It was Southwest history, hiking, things of that nature. He's very knowledgeable, very smart. He's a great, great dude. He's very talented. He's very humble.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. Known him for a few years.
Well, and I tell you, just some of the things he's, like when I've hit him up about, like I really need some B-roll of this or that, and he's just like, oh man, I've got it. Don't, quit sweating it. I got it. I'm like, dude.
He does, and with him doing computer stuff, everything he has, he just dumps on an external drive, and he's got it. Me, I've all my early stuff. I'm going to be honest, it's gone because I had nowhere to put it. I deleted it to make room for other things, and now that it's got a little cheaper, I'm starting to put everything back. But all my early pictures that are on Facebook, Instagram, and stuff, I don't have the originals to that no more. The original to that is gone. I wish I still had it. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I started, okay, here we go. I got the link. People are asking for your links. So we're going to link to Pemberton Boys and Snakes on the Plains. I spend a ton in storage.
Yeah.
I literally, once the video got up to 4K, I'm going and buying one of those 8 terabyte notebooks. And my brother-in-law was over. He's just like, dude, you just need to build your own server. Like literally. And he did it. And so I'm doing that. And what some people, I don't back up everything. Like stuff for my drone channel, I don't back that up unless it's like super crazy. My dog channel, I don't back that stuff up. You can always, one strategy, and I got this from Iron Dog Reptiles, was he has like, I don't think I'm sharing anything that he hasn't talked about in the live, I'll say that. But he has like a ghost channel that he uploads everything to. So in case like he ever got taken down, ever got nuked, the 3 strikes, whatever, his videos at least backed up in one place. And then you can, I think if you have YouTube TV, you can download it back again and maintain a hard copy and edit it. I don't know how well that works, but at least then it wouldn't be lost. And at the end of the day, to me, it really is more about the memories, the adventures, the camaraderie. And me and Squatchy, who I think was Squatchy that dragged us into doing this live tonight, and then Squatchy didn't show up.
He hit me up to do one, and I was like, let's do it. And he's like, let's get Todd. Because I was honestly going to hit you up either today or this week and see if you want to do one. I was like, let's hit Todd up. And then, he got called into work. So that didn't work so well for him.
I know he's, that's cool, Grim. I know he's kind of like going through some decision-making stuff with, his channel, and, he kind of wanted it to be all herping. Then he went metal detecting for a while. Then he went into the comedy stuff, which, to me, I think he's pretty great at watching him eat all that hot sauce and stuff. And
he did that one video of his where he was starting to act like he was flying away with the heat. I about fell out of my chair. That was good. That was fun. That was the funniest one he ever did. I felt sorry for him, but he put himself in there. So you got to laugh at him, That was painful. I can't do odd stuff.
Well, neither can I. I can just, now when I was younger I could, but now I can just like be in the room with like a jalapeno pepper and I turn red and I start sweating and I break out, which makes me think that the time I get juiced by an Atrox, that's going to be a hell of a trip. And Lou says he was going to go live tonight and he wants us to help him buy an airplane.
Hey man, on my salary, I can buy you like a paper airplane.
Well, on my salary, I can maybe get us a drone.
I can't even afford a drone, man. That's what I was wanting to get over the winter and bills.
Oh yeah.
But eventually I'll get one.
Well, I mean, I hate to say this, but you know what they say about trucks? Why do you need a truck if you have a friend with a truck?
Yeah.
You've got a friend with a drone.
That's the thing with Pemberton. Every time I say something, he's like, dude, just holler. Or he told me last time, he's like, hey, next time you go to Arizona, I'll just give you my drone. You can use it. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll fly it to the side of a mountain and then owe you $2,000. I can't do that. I'm not. No.
Well, hey, hang on, Lou. Are you wanting us to bring you in, Lou? Because I can send you a message. Let me know, Lou. I'll be on standby if you want to come in and hang with us. I would be happy to bring you in.
Hey, I'll help you pick out an airplane.
And I did.
It's just got to be one. It's just got to be one that I can fit in when we go on that herping trip where we all go all over the world and find different herps. If I'm invited.
And I'm getting heat for comparing an Atrox bite to a pepper, but everyone I know that's been bit, and I've been in very close proximity to a few bites, we'll say that they've okay, Lou, just you're welcome on my feed anytime. If you see me running StreamYard, you want to come on for any reason, Lou, you're more than welcome. We love your channel. Lou B747. If you haven't subbed, you're missing out. I mean,
yeah, Lou's good. Lou's got good stuff.
It's Lou. He's good. He's good, and the proof's in the pudding. But yeah, but no, I've been around a lot of people who've been bit, and they talk about a burning sensation going up in their arm and a metallic taste in their mouth, and which is probably more indicative of North American pit vipers. But yeah, I basically did compare an Atrox to a pepper. And you never know, but
it's a hot pepper.
It's a hot pepper, exactly. Spicy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's spicy. Sorry, my son walked in here. He's distracting me.
Oh, that's okay. How's he doing?
He's good. He's good. He's getting a drink out of the fridge and distracting everybody.
Well, I tell you, you see that. That's why we got to get you over 1,000 subs, because I think your watch time is probably coming along pretty.
Yeah, my watch time's about to drop way off. I had that, man. It was in April of last year. I had the first milk snake I found. I did a little short, and it hit. I got 60,000 views on it. I don't know why, and that pushed my watch time up, and that is about to expire. I think it just takes a year into account, and that's about to go away. And if that's the case, yeah, my watch time looks to be.
If it comes from a short, I don't think your watch time from shorts actually counts.
Oh, you're right. I think you're right. So yeah,
I think it registers. I think it registers. Hang on. Excuse me. I think it registers, but I don't think it counts towards your cumulative.
Yeah. I think you're right. I remember reading that now that you say that. So,
which I hate to be a bummer, because a ton of mine comes from that as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we've talked about that. I think the shorts is more of seem like I get more subscribers and stuff off of that. The shorts are, me and Lou kind of talked about this once, the shorts, I think it was Lou that said this. There's nothing that really goes into it. There's no creative. There is, but it's not really, and Luke can probably explain it on here what he said, but it's not very creative. He likes the creative side of it. And I agree. There's more to it on a normal video where you got 20, 30 minutes of something you can put together, put a story together, make it something that like Smet Logic is so good at. Rob, his videos they're awesome from front to end, and you get that with a whole video versus a short to where it's just like a little tidbit. But the shorts are good for, like I said, for getting subs and things like that for your channel and getting attention. But overall creativity of your channel, it's definitely comes from your full length videos.
Well, and even then, I've always had good luck with doing the shorter videos because, I just have not until recently. I haven't. I'm not saying I haven't felt comfortable being in front of the camera, but it's like, okay, you can look at me or you can look at this amazing rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Okay, now what
Yeah.
am I going to choose? I know what I look like. No one out there in
Yeah.
YouTube land cares what I look like. They're going to want to
Yeah.
see
I'm
the
the same
snake.
way.
But then I'm sitting there realizing that that's part of the draw with a lot of people. There's a guy, and Smetlogic and I were talking about him the other day. It's like Triple X Herper, Triple X, and I want to say his name's Brandon. This guy probably didn't make a video on that channel in over 10 years. But he was a kid when he started, and he was one of the first Herper guys. He was like back when Smetlogic started. He was around. And
That's before YouTube even started, man.
yeah, and it's like, and this kid got hundreds of thousands of views, millions in some cases. But a lot of times what he would do is he'd hook a cottonmouth, hold it in front of the camera and talk and do
Yeah.
educational stuff. And a lot of people on the old North American Field Herp Association forums I heard bagged him. I don't remember them bagging him. I remember them bagging other people, but that's some happens on the internet once in a while. And exactly,
Yep.
Lou, that's where we wear sunglasses. But this kid made a lot of videos back in the day, like when 720 was the thing. 720
Yeah.
pixels was the thing. And 1080 was just brand new, and only the rich people had it. I mean, there was that time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's just kind of one of those things where I think the dynamic of people interacting with the animal, something about that gets picked up more than than other things. Like my one video with my rattlesnake on the old Angry Aatrox channel, it's like probably the most popular video on that channel as far as full-length videos. But I'm thinking about what people are seeing is they're seeing all these people walk behind this rattlesnake, and they're all thinking, oh, someone's going to get bit. But it doesn't happen because we were all safe distance. We were like 6 feet away from that thing.
Yeah.
But the camera angle kind of pulls it in. It made it look shorter. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened. Yeah, yes, Smetlogic. Did you ever talk to him about that name, Triple X Herper, Triple X? Because
sounds interesting. I'll give him that.
Maybe the guy was showing up in like adult search engines, and that fed his popularity.
You never know.
Maybe people like got tired of like blondes and brunettes, like mud wrestling, and so here's this guy with these snakes. I mean, I don't know. That could only be so lucky. But hey, Derek, how are you?
Yeah, it's an interesting name.
Yeah, and I don't know. Once again, that was probably around the time I started my first YouTube channel, but mine was so horrible. It was just you know what? I need to do that. I need to look up and send you like my first like 3 YouTube videos. Because no, like I was telling Pemberton how far he's came in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because you can really see this evolution across his work.
Yeah,
I mean, he started out just holding the GoPro outside the car window, and now it's just like he's brilliant, and people are soliciting him.
Yeah, that dude got a lot of attention off that last video he did. He had the last couple. He's had local Oklahoma TV personalities and stuff sharing it, and he's got a ton of views off of it. And he's got a lot of subs, well deserved. So yeah. I look back at my first couple photography pictures that I thought was pretty good, and I look at them now and I laugh. I'm like, it was awful. I didn't know what I was doing. It looks good to the untrained eye, but once you kind of a little bit, which I know a little bit about photography, you can tell that it's not that great.
Well, and to me, there's there's people out there, and I'll pick on him because I know him, but like Jubal Lane. I watched the kid grow up, and he to this day, I think a camera for him is extra baggage.
Yeah,
He's
that
like,
dude, man. But I admire him. Like he goes out and does his thing. And in today's society, for a younger person especially, who is wants, hey, look at me, 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 look what I'm doing. There's people that are my age and older that do that. That dude
right.
goes out, and kills it, and you'll know about it 3 days later because he'll send you a private message. Look what I found. I admire that boy. He's good too, and he's good people. He's fun to hang out with.
Well, I tell you, I still would like to get a herping trip together with like him and his dad.
Yeah,
because his dad will get on him, and his dad can probably still outflip him.
Yeah,
because his dad is his dad is not much bigger than me, but he like works with sheet metal and stuff.
Yeah,
and he's just not the kind of, and it's like 30-pound rock. What's that? One hand.
Yep.
And we used to do a lot of stuff on the Illinois River out by Tahlequah. We had spots out there, and we no longer have access to them. And we find 5 or 6 different salamander species when the weather was right. And those were some glory days. I've got a few of those videos, hanging back.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad, Smet Logic, because I'm still a fan of everybody's old stuff. I like to go back and look.
I can see why Nicholas isn't a fan, because he was 5 or 6 years old. I like the old stuff. I like all your stuff, Smet, but yeah, your old stuff's good too. It's all good.
Well, and like I will once in a while I will have, like, I've thought I've went through every video on the Smet Logic channel. Then something will pop into my notifications, and it's like, you have one unseen Smet Logic video from 2011. Yes. It's like, whoa, I'm gonna, of course, it's gonna get a view for me. I mean,
yeah.
And I updated our meme. The meme that has been evolving throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's in my Instagram story right now, and I'll throw the updated version on later. Yeah, Chad can lift rocks. Yeah, that's and we just need someone to make coffee. That's I'm just such a bum. I honestly go back and forth between flipping and not flipping, because a lot of times when the conditions seem like they would be good for flipping, if I'm not working like a known like trash pile or a known flip site, sometimes I will find more stuff just out on the ground around. Yeah. I'll be sitting there pulling up rocks and setting them back down, and then it's like, here's a garter snake going behind your back.
Yeah.
Or a blue racer. I mean, stuff like that happens to me all the time. So I just kind of get out there and wing it.
You never know. Yeah. And that, talking about flip sites, that's one of my things that I'll switch the subject, I guess, but switch on is, when I first got into this, I never understood why people like, hey, I want to go find a milk snake. Tell me where it's at. Nobody tell me. And hacked me off. I had to go work, and I had some, insight. I wouldn't found it, but man, taking care of that habitat, and I'm sure everybody on here does this, but man, put your stuff back where you found it in the manner that you found it. Don't tear it up. Don't leave things flipped. Reason being, the first milk snake I ever found was probably one of my favorite finds of all time. The people. I'm not going to give names, but one person was there, told another, who brought a whole college class out there to that spot where I found that milk snake. And I went back out there 2 weeks later, and every rock was flipped over on its top, and I haven't found a milk snake there since. Just completely destroyed everything.
Well, and Noah addressed that. I don't know if you follow Noah Phil's channel.
Well, I don't really that much, but no offense to him, I just don't. But yeah, when with Aaron, I did see that, and yes, he was right on the money with that Oklahoma peeps, man. I don't know what it is, a bunch of rednecks or something, but Yeah, they don't
Well,
take care of anything.
and it could just be unexperienced people, because sometimes that kind of stuff happens. But I also understand that Spot got pinned to INAT, and
Yeah,
I'm big about not pinning sensitive things to INAT.
exactly.
Now
Yeah,
I'll go out and I'll pin 50 things to INAT, but there are things that you could find like plain-bellied water snakes, common garter snakes,
yeah,
western rats, things that are like abundant here. I have no problem pinning those to
yep. I'm the
INAT,
same way. Yeah,
but at the same time, if you can't measure the habitat across the species found there and tie it together, you just need to flip more rocks and you need to do more work.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but yeah, I know the area because that ties into one of my areas that like I was going to long before I knew anybody
yeah,
outside of the Tulsa Herp Club. And one thing that that Jimmy, who's never been on Facebook, he's never been on Instagram, but he was the president of the Tulsa Herp Club for like 10 years. Um, he would give everyone the lecture when we'd go out on group trips. Like, guys, don't lift a rock. If you can't put it back down gently and not drop it,
yep,
you're not going to leave trash. You leave trash and I catch you. You're not going to be welcome on future trips. He
yeah,
was, I don't want to say he was hardcore about it, but he was kind of hardcore about it.
yeah. No,
So,
yeah, I respect that. I feel like if you're going to go out here and do this, and if you're passionate about it, and if you're doing it for the right reasons and not just to get an Instagram, follow or something, you should care about the reason you're out there, and you should do everything you can to take care of it. I don't know how many times looking for milk snakes and stuff, you find a spot that, man, it's just perfect. You can look at it and tell, but you can't pull it up. You can't get to it without destroying it, and you just leave it because it's not worth destroying the whole microhabitat underneath there in order to find the snake. I don't care what snake it is. If it's my lifer, I'm not going to destroy the habitat around it to find it. And I think that's the way I'm sure most people in here are.
yeah.
I'm sure everybody probably is, but that burns me up. As you can tell, I kind of got off on a rant there, but
Well, no. I mean, you're anytime you want to be on a live I'm hosting and rant about that individual, man, I say we just go kick his ass. Well, watch it, Todd.
yeah, no, I get you. I get it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No, it's frustrating, man. And that's why I always I got a lot of help when I started because I had a lot of people that trusted me, and I try to relay that. But like the Atrox den that I found last week, I've had a lot of people hit me up. Hey, can you take me out there? Can you tell me where it's at? I just ignore them because I know that's right down the road from a rattlesnake hunt, and I know that as soon as that gets out, that den in 2 years will be wiped. And those hunts are taking a serious toll on those areas out there because it's real close to the one town. I won't even say what town it is.
I know.
And, yeah, I know where it's at. And anybody with a brain can look and they know where I'm at if they use their senses. But the specific area, I'm not going to give it up. And I would to you, or select people, but just to the public, I'm not going to tell anybody where that stuff's at because, and it's on private.
And that kind of brings up that thing of where, like, I did a video, Keystone Forest area or Keystone Forest State Park area, and I had people jumping down my throats about you gave out a location, and it's like, okay, there's a western rat, an American toad, a 5 or 6-line race runner, and a timber rattlesnake. Okay, can you look at a range map and figure out that all 4 of those species are there? So,
yeah.
and once again, the Keystone State Park area,
Yeah.
and
Something like that in general. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. Somebody asked me, where you found that milk steak. Oh, I found it in this county or, this area. And I don't have a problem with that necessarily.
County is usually good for most things, but it's like I just kind of felt like I was being attacked for saying there's Atrox in the Big Bend National Park.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Oh, really?
we all know they're there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, you know, it's just kind of one of them funny things where it's like, you know, we know they're there. You know, it's common knowledge, it's well documented, and most of the people that go down there don't care about those anyway. They're after the Alturnas, you know, the Trans-Pecos
Yeah.
rats, Bairds, things like that, and you know, and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, I just kind of found it funny. It was the whole, I haven't posted on this page in 6 months, and you think I'm a newbie, and so you're going to jump on my back, and then like 2 posts down, you know,
Yeah.
like this Texas professional herper guy who is well respected throughout the community was talking about like how great INAT is if you use it right and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, yeah, and I didn't even pin any of this stuff to INAT, and these guys are like on me about locations, like,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. No, it's all, there's so much goes into that. If you're well known, people will turn a blind eye. I agree. It's that way in all walks of life.
yeah.
But you're absolutely right. You know, a little
Well,
bit of,
and you know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, it's ethics come into play. And like I saw this guy who did drone footage of a timber rattlesnake den. Now I'm not going to mention his name, but a lot of people went off about that because if you know how to process that video, you could get the coordinates and go right to it.
yeah.
But I also would
Yeah.
think you would have a hard time collecting them off the side of that hill, which is why he had to film it with the drone.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of this weird catch-22 of, you know, you be careful who you tell what to. I will, you know, at
Yeah.
least,
And even in videos, I've got real careful about trying to show certain, you know, landmark, not really landmarks, but just hills and different things. Cause there's people that can sit there and look at a video and dissect. They're good at that. Figure out where you're at and get the general area and find where you're at. And most things I don't care, but yeah, if you have something that you don't want to get wrecked, you know, you
well,
got to take that into consideration.
on that happiest Atrox you will see all day video. It's like one I was really, really proud of. I got even better shots than the what made the final cut of the video because I didn't realize it at the time I was shooting it, but the name of the oil lease
Yeah.
was on the sign of the fence right behind it. And I thought, you know, this is like the most amazing footage I have ever done. And I can't release it until I pay Pemberton to like edit that stuff out
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lou B brings up a great point, and there's nothing wrong with that. Add fake B-roll into a lot of his videos to hide spots.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm
Yeah.
going to do is the next time
That's
one
a
of my
good
friends catches like an eastern milk snake, I'm gonna like take it to like, I don't know, Guyman or somewhere, and like, I've got this milk snake, you know, and like have like a billboard or something, you know, leaving Oklahoma.
It'd be all right. It'd be all right. Take it out and put it in some cactus or something out west.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with being discreet for discreetness' sake, especially to protect habitat, because, you know, everyone did it. Wild Kingdom did it. Wild America did it. Steve Irwin did it. We all know this now looking back, you know, so I'm just kind of like, you know, I just don't see what's wrong with hiding a little bit. And by the way, the timber rattlesnake from the Keystone State Park area wasn't from the Keystone State Park area. You know, it was actually north of there, which, I mean, you know.
Yep. No, yeah. I
lots
get
of habitat form.
But I have done that with my wider angled shots before, took some good ones and got home and realized that there's something in the background that I didn't want there and didn't use them. So that's frustrating.
I still think we go down to Texas, collect a coral snake, and bring it back into Oklahoma, and like go to some restaurant outside of Ada, dude. No,
yeah,
I mean,
you'd have you'd have people in an uproar. Yeah.
Start the Snakelahoma Civil War.
Yeah. Oh, it will. Well, I've seen it almost happen. I've seen people almost come to blows over coral snake sightings in southern Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I really, because of the geography, I really don't think it's likely that it would ever happen. And
I don't either.
And I think the guys that hit those areas for the lamps would have been the ones that would have found it.
Oh yeah, I think if there was a breeding population in this state, I think we would know it with all the people that spend the time in the area that they would be in. I don't see how we wouldn't know it. I'm sure there's always a possibility of a transplant, dropping off of something like, I think INAT, there was a prairie rattlesnake that was pinned southwest of Oklahoma City. I think you talked about that last time we did one, or at some point somebody did, that probably came off some oil field equipment that was right down the road, because they don't belong within 100 miles of Oklahoma City. You never know.
Well, the lows in Broken Arrow, and Google this, put it into the Tulsa World search engine. Eastern diamondback rattlesnake bites lady at Lowe's in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah.
And it was an implant. It stowed away from a shipment of plants that came in from Florida.
Yeah.
And
how come I don't buy plants with Eastern diamondbacks on them? That'd be so
cool. I would I need to start going to these nurseries. I need to find out
good money for that.
Right.
And really good.
When do you get shipments from Florida? No, we want to come through and I'll take this one.
Yeah. They would be all right. Yeah, I wouldn't be that lucky. I don't know. But yeah, that you never know. I mean, anything's possible. Oil field equipment's probably a big part of that. Who knows what could hitch a ride from across the United States and end up on the other side of the United States.
Well, and SmetLogic said something that I found interesting. He said, unfortunately, INAT has blown out the whole secrecy deal. Okay, while I agree with you, SmetLogic, I see things pinned on INAT that there is no way.
Yeah.
Like you see a pygmy rattlesnake pinned in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And it is a picture of a pygmy rattlesnake. And there's not a breed, it might have been a drop off or a transplant, but there's not a breeding population there. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you're right on that. I've seen some stuff too. And I'm not trying to throw my buddy Andrew under the bus. We went out, he wanted to find a Viridis, his lifer. We went out, took us 2 trips. We found it out in southwest Oklahoma, and he had pinned it on INAT. And I figured it out later. I didn't even know he did it, but I seen it. And I'm like, I never knew that. I'd never seen that when I hit it, and it was his, and it was about 25 miles east of where we found it. I don't know if he did that on purpose or if it accidentally put it in the wrong spot, but yeah, that is a thing too.
Well, and you can obscure locations on INAT, and
yeah,
some states automatically do it if the species is special concern or protected.
Yeah.
But to me, at that point, like if I found like an alligator snapping turtle, there's no way I'm pinning that to INAT.
Yeah.
I would send that to. I mean, if I got any pictures of it, I would send it to PIMBY and say, man, make sure the coordinates are scrubbed. I can kind of do that stuff myself, but man, double check me because this is important. Because I know the work the state has done to breed and reintroduce those back into the wild, and they had started them down in Tishomingo.
Yeah.
At that trout hatchery, and like literally, they breed hundreds of these things, and hopefully they'll be a more common sight in the not so distant future. But it's like at the same time, if I found one on a bank or dead on the side of the road, would I pin it? No.
Yeah, no. That goes back to having a little bit of common sense. And in this day and age of everybody wanting to be somebody, they do things they shouldn't do. And, if you're doing it for that reason, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
And do you ever look at some of these, like, I know you will never be a venomous free handler. I will never be a venomous free handler. But do you ever look at what some of these people do and they get like hundreds of thousands of views and you're just like.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's nothing worse. I'm more scared of the doctor bills than I am the bite. And I can't afford that. But yeah, I never would. I would never want to do that. hope it never happens. But if I ever get bit, it's not going to be from handle them. I can assure you that. I have no desire to pick up anything that's hot. No, I'm good.
And that's me outside of like, using a tube or working on something, which once again is an accepted safe practice if you've had some training. It's, sometimes, you have to do something, or sometimes I get hit up locally because like I've worked with venomous stuff before, and like Mamba's boom slings, no, 15 years ago, I would have done it. I won't do it now. I'm too fat and old and slow.
I don't have any desire to mess with anything that's got neurotoxic venom. They can keep that.
Thank you.
I'm good. I want to keep breathing.
Yeah, it's like I'm already close enough to the cemetery gates. I don't want to make the trip short.
I can rot a finger off or something. That'll suck. But if my heart stops, I quit breathing. I don't want that.
Right.
So that's bad. Yeah, I have no desire to do that. I've never had. I don't know. I love reptiles and stuff, but I've never ever even had the urge to want to pick up a hot. I don't know.
Well, and there's a lot of discussion back and forth on Facebook about this very topic, kind of as we speak. And this one lady was going around like free handling speckled rattlesnakes. I think she's in Arizona. And she got to mouthing off to someone who is like an icon of venomous herpetoculture, a guy named Randy. He's over in Arkansas. And I'm sitting there going, you don't even know who this guy is, and he wrote the books that you read.
Yeah.
It's this whole weird kind of thing where, like, is the animal not interesting enough without you having to interact with it? And that was kind of one of the downsides of the whole, era of Animal Planet that most of us enjoyed. I mean, it's just kind of like, I think a lot of,
there's an inside joke there, Grim.
Actually, Grim, because of my documentation of the rattlesnake and human interaction, I actually do want to go to church in your area. Me and Nate have had the Pentecostal talk, and I actually do. I've looked at churches in like West Virginia, like Jolo area and stuff like that, and some of those places over there, some of the ones in Tennessee. Oh yeah, I want to go see that. Now I know some of the tricks they pull or some of the stuff they do, but like one of the guys in West Virginia from one of the snake handling churches, he posted an Eastern Diamondback that he was free handling in his YouTube or in his Facebook story, and it was his friend. He was just taking a picture of him, and I'm sitting there going, you had to have at least hit Georgia. They used to range into North Carolina, and I don't think they're there anymore. They could be, but you had to at least hit Georgia to get that thing, or get it from a captive breeder or someone who something.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a huge no.
But would I go there and film it? Oh yeah.
That would be interesting.
I'd be on the plane tomorrow. I mean, like literally, the snake handling churches are next after the roundups. It's like,
that would be very, very interesting and nerve-wracking for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very
hey Craig. I just a lot of the tricks that I've seen these roundup folk pull is they'll start messing with the snake, and does it react defensively or does it not? Does it hide its head or does it coil up and post? And then they go from there to, there was actually like a published book on this that got passed around by all of them in the 60s. And I don't remember the name of the book, but this is what these old time handlers have told me. This is where they learned it. It's like, it's like you take the snake hook, you tap on its head a little, not to hurt it, but just to tap on it. Does it bow up and want to fight, or does it coil and pancake?
Hide.
And once they pancake, if once a rattlesnake protects its head, they generally keep it protected because they're thinking you're a road runner, and they don't want to be lunch. And and so being around as long as I have in that realm, I've kind of seen the tricks. And
well, it's the same thing as when I'm photographing a hot. You can tell within 30 seconds whether I'm going to photograph it or not. If it's super, and some of them, I got my homemade redneck plexiglass shield that I mount my camera on, so I'm not worried about it but you can tell their mannerisms, the way they're acting. The snake, they're unpredictable. You never can be 100% on it. But once they go into that kind of defensive mode, or not defensive mode, but kind of that more hide mode, you're usually good to take your pictures. They're not going to, you can do it a lot easier than you can when you first make contact with them and they're wound up, or some of them just wound up and you're not going to get pictures of them,
Right. And
kind of same thing, they all have their different temperaments, and they, individuals,
Well, and that's why I kind of like, usually, I mean, not to give away my secrets, but work them with a hook a little first.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, they kind of will strike the pose, or they will just chill, or they'll keep trying to escape. And that's one of those situations where, like, if they really want to bolt, and they're going to bolt, it's like, I just let them go on their way, because I don't want to put too much undue stress on the animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just kind of like,
I've done that before. I work with them 30, 45 seconds. And if it's obvious you're not going to get anything out of them, go on to the next one.
Well, and I took heat over my bull snake video on the angry Atrox. That one where he was puffed up and hissing.
Mm-hmm. And
they were like, why did you have to mess with this snake for so long? Well, the backstory on that was it was in this lady's backyard. She thought it was a rattlesnake. She sent a picture of it to Heath. I don't know if you know Heath.
I know of him.
Okay. He's a buddy of mine. He's here local. He just kind of lays low. But he's like, no, non-venomous. I'll be over in 5 minutes. Just leave it alone. He gets it. We photograph it. We find a good place to release it. I had 3 cameras on the ground. I filmed that snake for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe. And I got like 6 minutes of good video out of it.
Yeah.
Just, 3 cameras times, 2. And people just like absolutely putting me on blast. Like, why did you harass the snake for so long? And I'm like, okay, you don't understand how the snake's day started out. It started out being, charged at with a shovel.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you get a few photos of it. And then it's like, snakes are built. The flip side of that is snakes are built to survive some stressors and some attacks. I mean,
yeah.
If you see an Atrox or a Viridis that's over 4 foot and it's wild, I mean, I guarantee you it survived some battles.
Mm-hmm.
Either with roadrunners, bobcats, king snakes, feral hogs.
Absolutely.
Things, like that, they get big by surviving, and by lack of a better term, it's not real scientific, but I call it being tough. Yeah. It's just kind of like.
Well, you're absolutely right. Yeah, to make it that long in the wild, they have seen some things, and they've withstood the test of time. And it seems like my experience is the older, bigger ones are usually easier to photograph. They're more chill. It's like they kind of know that I've been there, done that. This is no big deal. And I don't know if that's right, but it seems like the younger snakes are the ones that are harder to photograph. They're kind of spastic. The ones that get older, they're kind of chill. Maybe they're just old men, like they don't want to move fast. I don't know, but
they're like, kill me or photograph me or do what you do, because the nursing home's right around the corner. Something in that psychology. But my experience with large Atrox is, if they can escape, they will. I'm talking like 4 foot or better.
Yeah.
I'm not talking 3 1/4
Yeah.
or 3 1/2. I'm talking like 4 foot or better. A lot of times they will escape if they can, but a lot of times they will hold their ground. If you corner
Yeah.
them and you back them against a rock, that they're going to be like, okay, fight or die.
Yeah. No, and that's their, yeah, 100% their survival instinct, you know. And yeah, if they, but I agree, most of them they're going to try to get away. They'd rather get away from you. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
they have a higher chance of survival by getting away from something versus trying to stand its ground and fight it. So most of the time, yeah, they will. They're going to, if there's a rock or a grass, anything else for cover, they're going to try to hit that first 90% of the time, it seems like.
Well, and I've kind of also thought always in the back of my head that timber rattlesnakes, because they rely so much more on camouflage
Mm-hmm.
than your desert and prairie species, where there's just not as much cover out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they kind of have to have that, you know, fight or flight mentality. Whereas like, you know, timber rattlesnakes, I don't know if you've ever like road cruised one or found one at a den site or in a pile of rocks, and they just freeze.
Yeah.
And that's just like a huge defense tactic for them, is just be still, because 9 out
Mm-hmm.
of 10 people will miss them if they be
Yep.
still.
Just blend in. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it seems like, to me, the overall seems like the timber's a little bit more chill than the Western species. Of course, I don't know. Last year, one I found was, I could barely take pictures of him. He was a spazoid, but for the most part, overall, my experience is they're a little bit more chill. They do like to just kind of chill and like you're saying, just blend in more versus having maybe that instinct to go find somewhere to hide or fight. You know.
Well, and you know, one thing that I would stress to people is each snake kind of like almost like any dog. You know, they all have their little individual
Mm-hmm.
personalities, and
They definitely do.
and life freedom. I actually disagree with you. To me, aggressive means that they charge you or try to come after you. Um, I don't really see it as that. Now, some timbers will indeed strike at you, but like that one in Pimby's clip where he's got in the intro to his video, it's a little one, and it just like strikes
Yeah.
at him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we caught a 4 footer down by Haskell. I want to say it's down by between Haskell and Muskogee, me and Heath, and this thing coiled the whole way, you know, and it just did that whole hide its head, you
Yeah.
know, tactic. And this thing was a good sized one. It's one of the first timber videos that I threw up on Angry Atrox. And you know, my whole thing is just to give them respect and keep a safe distance at all time,
Yeah.
because you never know what something's going to do or not do. And
No.
you
Yep, no,
know,
you're absolutely right. And whenever you think you got one figured out is when it'll surprise you. Especially, it seems like I've had more of that with the timbers, that they're chill, 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 and all of a sudden, boom, you know,
yeah,
they're at you. But yeah, I agree with the aggressive. I think when I think of something that's aggressive, it's coming after you to hurt you.
yeah,
I think that's I get people all the time that snakes are aggressive. Well, no, it's a defensive, and a lot of it's just misinterpretation. You can interpret that as aggression, but if you had not approached them and been a lot taller and bigger than them and put them in a position where they felt like they had to defend themselves, I don't think that most snakes don't have anything to gain by chasing you down and biting you. That's what I try to explain to people. Now, hey, I'll be the first to admit I had an Atrox one time that when I got within 2 foot of it, it come at me and lunged at me 2 or 3 times. And that was, I'm like, dude, this thing is like aggressive coming at me. But that was just, in my opinion, that's its way of get back, stay away from me. I don't want to mess with you. Get back, you know, kind of that thing. And I think that plays more into it's a defensive, but it comes off as offensive. It's aggressive, but it's really not. I think it's just him. It was her just trying to say, hey, you know, leave me alone. I don't want to mess with you type of thing.
right. And I want to say his name got dropped earlier, Chad Whitney. buddy of mine, buddy of Smet Logic, guy's been field herping for ages. He kind of brought up the point that in people's minds, they are getting chased, they are getting attacked because of the predisposed fear.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of like, I mean, I totally understood where he was coming from. And I see so many of these arguments that I'm kind of almost like, I'm not even going to get involved. I'm not even going to say.
I used to fight all those fights.
Yes.
And I've got to the point now to where some people, you might as well be talking to a wall, but that's why when I first started this, I always tell people that, and I know probably 10% of what there is to know about snakes. I'm not an expert, but I always tell them that anytime I'm talking about education to anybody about a snake, so I want you to realize that 95% of what you know about snakes is incorrect. So,
yeah.
And that's very true. And it's, I think we all, and me, when I was young, I was brought up, I don't know, I was brought up I had an uncle that loved snakes and he got me into reptiles. He got me into reptiles when I was young. But the overall persona of society is they're evil. They'll chase you down, they'll hurt you, they're evil, all this stuff to kill them. And I think that's just a normal part of society that, I don't know how you overcome that, but that's why I guess we do what we do, one at a time. And I personally, I know that a lot of people that I've changed their views on things. And I look at it that's a small win, but it's a win that one person affects their kids and their family. Maybe over 50 years from now, we'll change this culture.
Well, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up. And my grandmother was from the Ozark Mountains. She would pin a copperhead with a tree limb, grab it behind the head, and just be like, here, look at its fangs. Okay, now that was her generation. And most of the people from her generation were deathly scared of them. Then you go to like my dad, who was on the pro bull rider circuit for a while, will climb onto the back of an 800,000-pound bull. This was back before they had the protective vest. This is the 60s.
Yeah.
And they didn't have helmets. I mean, today you see these guys at the PBR, vests, helmets, all this stuff. And he would get on that bull, but yet he would be up a tree if he saw a garter snake.
Yep.
And you just kind of, it's just dealing with the irrational fear. And my focus is on trying to educate and work with younger people. Yeah. And because ultimately it's not something I'm going to cure in my lifetime. It may not get cured in your lifetime. It may be 2 or 3 more generations before things really take off. And that's why I'm kind of entertaining the idea of getting some like permits and doing some like, traveling education type deals. Mm. I'm just kicking that around the back of my head because I'm sitting there going, gosh, I won't be able to field herp forever. I mean, I would, if I was, in the kind of shape that Smet Logic is, I might pull it off. I think he's left or he went to get coffee or something.
Yeah.
But, and honestly, it's just kind of like, you kind of get tired of going out into the habitat and then not being able to climb that mountain, or knowing that if you do it, start the Tylenol and painkillers now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I'm getting there.
I've
got way out of shape.
Right. And I have bad gout flares that like get me every time I walk a mountain. And so the last time me and Jubal and Aaron, not Short, but the other one from Tulsa, last time we all 3 went out, I felt like I was just slowing him down the whole time. And it just kind of, just bummed me out. So I'm just,
I understand.
Gas prices, be darned. I think there'll be a lot of road cruising this summer.
Well, yeah. My son drives a Nissan Sentra, and I told him that I'm going to repossess that. He's 17. It's going to get repossessed this summer because I'm going to be driving it. And he can drive my truck that gets 13 miles of the gallon back and forth to to his job that's 10 miles down the road, and I'll put gas in it, and that'll be cheaper for me still.
And I'm looking at, we've been looking at like getting a Jeep.
Yeah.
And kind of the reason why I wanted a Jeep or a 4Runner or something that's a little more adapted to off-road, some of those roads out by Guthrie and stuff out in that north central area, when it's dry and that, or even when it's wet, that clay-like sand, you can get stuck in that real easy.
Yeah, you absolutely can in the right conditions. And I was really looking into a Jeep year and a half ago, but the gas mileage surprisingly on those aren't much better than the pickup truck. And I really think that whenever this truck runs its course, I want to get something, just a small 4-cylinder, something that gets good gas mileage. I'd like to have a midsize. I don't want like a small SUV of some sort, I guess. I'd like, or it's still, I can get people in it, but this having a full size truck that, I can lift a truck or a house off the foundation, to go drive around is not very economical.
I run into the same thing. It's, it's like I filled up my Tacoma the other day and it was like $67. It was just ridiculous.
I filled mine up today and it was $90-something and it wasn't even all the way empty. And I calculated it up. I remember how much it was now, but if I drove the same amount of miles going to Arizona that I drove last year, I think it was going to be over $2,000. I think is what it was going to cost me to go out there a trip. And I can't do that. So,
well, okay. I've got the solution for this problem. Is let me do the drive into Arizona.
Hey, I'm good.
Man,
I'm good, bro.
I was gonna say if you're good,
I'm thinking about making. I was going to make 3 runs out there this summer, this spring and summer. I had it planned out, but it may be down to 1. I might squeeze 2 out of it, but we'll have to see. So I'd like to go to South Texas too. Like, West Texas is fun, but I don't know. After going to Arizona, I don't have much of a desire. I'm not much of a shine a cut all night and look for an Alterna guy. It's kind of too slow paced for me. And I don't know. I would rather just do that. So I would like to go down to South Texas and try to Indigo and Coral and something like that. Maybe that might be something I hit here in a month or two. Try something like that.
I want to say Heath did that one year.
Yeah.
And you have to almost show up in his inbox a lot of times because he just kind of stays out of stuff. And
yeah.
But I want to say he's got some science on that. And Robert Below is another one.
Yeah, that dude's got stuff everywhere. He's been all over the place. Well, I got a guy that I met in West Texas that lives down there, and he's got his now for Horbucks, I can't think the name of his YouTube channel. I'll think of it here in a little bit. But anyways, I've hit him up, and I might get with him if I go down there. And I'm sure he's got some videos of
that JC guy.
Yes, JC. Yeah. See, I don't know how you say his last name. I can't remember his channel.
Eves. AVE.
Eves. Yeah. He's a cool dude. I met him in West Texas, and I've talked to him a little bit. And I might go down there and hit him up and see if I'd like to find an Indigo and a Coral. That's kind of one of my goals this year or next year. My number one goal this year is to find an Arizona Ridge Nose. That's going to be tough. A lot of hiking, but that's what I was wanting to go out. I was wanting to go out there once and just do nothing but mountainous montane rattlesnakes. Just hang out and hike in the mountains. But
right, yeah, I tell you, it's and that's kind of what I think about this. Like Banded Rocks, Ridge Nose, things like that would be things that I would love to target.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know that I could, if I drop 100 pounds real quick, I bet you I could, I could do it.
Yeah, it's tough. I went out there, man. I got lucky last year when I went out. My goal the last 2 years was a clob. I don't know what it was, man. It killed me trying to find clob. And I went out there and I just drove out in the Chiricahuas, parked got out and walked one morning, and I walked 50 feet, and I hear buzzing, and I look down, and there's one. Hear buzzing over here. Looking, I was in the middle. I found, I think, 5 in 10 minutes. And I was like, well, that's cool. Went back to my truck, and I don't know. So it's just kind of being in the right place at the right time. On
A
those,
black rattle, an Arizona black would be pretty awesome too.
Oh, dude, Arizona black. That's one of my targets eventually too, and especially the young ones, man. Those things they pop when they're young.
Yes.
I would love to find the Smet Logic found one road cruising in one of his videos that was just on fire. That thing was really nice. I'd like to do that eventually too.
Right.
Yeah, that the twin spotted. I don't know. They just look like a glorified night snake to me. I mean, I would be cool to find one, but I'm not that big into that. But man, the ridge nose willies, that'd be awesome. I would love to get some photos of that, the face and the markings and all that. That would be sweet.
Yeah, the ridge nose would definitely be a target for that area, but we're starting to have people drop off, and
yeah, we're going on almost 2 hours.
Yeah, hey, and you know what? For Squatchy being the one that set all this up and then ditching it, then me getting the time wrong.
Yeah, that's all right, man.
It to me it worked out really a lot better than I had planned.
It worked out well.
Well, I was gonna say, you're not working tomorrow, are you?
Nope. I was supposed to. I took off and spend one day around the house. I got some stuff I got to get done, and hopefully I get done by noon. Have the afternoon, do what I want to. It's supposed to be raining down this way. I think probably up your way too. I think even more.
Yeah, it's Tulsa becomes on fire with St. Patrick's Day tomfoolery. And my philosophy is, if I can't be one of the drunken idiots, then I have zero patience for the drunken idiots.
Yes, I have no patience. I'm with you on that.
And it's just, and it's okay. I mean, it's, I just, if I'm going to get into it, I want to do it. If I can't, it's like, go out around noon or something, have lunch at the Irish place, because we got some good Irish places up here.
Yeah.
It's one if ever you're up here, I'll take you to. It's called Kilkenny's. It's when the Biology of the Pit Vipers conference was here, everybody went there. It was kind of close, but it was also kind of good, and huge beer selection. But anyway, man, I say we get ready to call it a night. Everybody sub to Snakes on the Plains, sub to Pemberton Boys.
Thanks, man.
We will, and I'll definitely keep this video around, because there was some stuff in the chat that Lou was talking about that I didn't get to keep up with.
Yeah, there was a few things that I was going to answer to, and I got sidetracked and never did.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
do it again, maybe.
It happens. But for what it's worth, man, I'm glad we got to hang out tonight, and glad all these people in the chat were here to join us, and I'm glad everybody who worked hammers.
Yeah.
It's just those people are invaluable, especially when you get into a topic and then you get 15 bots show up and people.
Yeah, we kind of got hit all at once, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
A collaborated effort. It was a blitzkrieg.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. Probably everybody else is partying all over the world, and so here's these two yahoos in the Midwest, and
there you go. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
But Ariel, thank you for all you do. Thank you for shouting out Nathan's video.
Yes, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody that helped on that. That was amazing. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate it.
That got you some exposure on the other side of the world, And
that's absolutely
never a bad thing, my friend.
No, not at all.
Hey,
Ariel.
Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for helping me with what you helped me with.
Anytime we need to get together.
Well, it's going to happen soon. Gas prices suck, but it's not going to stop.
Yeah,
it's not going to stop the madness that I have planned.
Where there's a will, there's a way. We'll make it happen.
And once again, I've watched 3 or 4 exposure triangle videos. and I'm still like pulling it all together. Like I kind of understand this, I don't understand this,
Yeah,
and that's where if we get together and just photograph some rocks, and I have to drive all the way down there,
yeah.
that's
Hey,
fine.
we'll do it, man. We'll find a place to meet up, and like I said, use that little fake snake you had, man. Set your aperture, work off that, and that's him. That's a perfect example right there. Find your aperture, mess with your different depths of field, and bring those other two in around it, and make it work. And you'll do good things.
Definitely, definitely.
We'll get together though.
Thank you for hanging with me, dude.
No problem. Thank you. Had a good time.
We'll see you guys
Take care,
later.
brother. See you.
Bye.